are companies that empower their people. And I really believe this is very, very true. How AI is going to transform the experience of users.
Welcome to the GAIN podcast. It is day one of the GAIN Summit, and I have a very special guest with me today. I have Jad Haddad, the global head of Oliver Wyman Quotient. Jad, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. We were just saying off camera, how busy it was today.
It's incredible, honestly. The energy, you can feel it in the air.
It's wonderful seeing how crowded it is, people coming from different sectors, all to talk about AI and different perspectives. It's really great to see.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So tell me, how has been your experience so far on day one in the summit? Are there any key insights that you want to share, or any trends that caught your attention?
Still very early, but yeah, I think there are a few things that are already clear. Besides the energy and the excitement in the air, I think we're already starting to move away a little bit from foundational investments in AI, and we're starting to see, both platforms that enable applications, but also applications, and it's a bit clear also from the exhibitors here.
Yeah, I want to ask you: have you seen the opening ceremony?
Well, I tried,
Okay.
and I had to rush here, but I did, and that was great as well.
It was beautiful, and it was really moving. They broadcasted it as well everywhere, so it's really great to see. Yeah. You had Oliver Wyman's digital practice in a very diverse region. How do you adapt your digital transformation strategies to meet the unique challenges and opportunities across such varied markets?
It's a great question. I think not only the markets are different, but also the industries and the organizations. So I think what's really important is also, be able to adapt a little bit to the strategies, the overall strategy of the organizations you're working with. Also get expertise in the specific industries, but also listen to the people that know their business better than anyone, and bring a little bit of the outside-in perspective and a little bit of the lessons from outside, but also adapt it to the environment that you're in.
I want to give our listeners a better idea of what you do at Oliver Wyman. From a day-to-day basis, can you tell us kind of what are the areas that you work in? How are you connecting to people in the region?
Absolutely. So we work very closely with clients, typically on long-term transformation projects. So a typical cycle would be that we would come in, work with them on a strategy, let's say a digital transformation strategy or an AI-first strategy, basically link it to their corporate strategy and their corporate objectives, define how that would look like, make sure that there are programs that are implementable, that are put in a roadmap, and basically eventually help them also implement those roadmaps. Sometimes only by overseeing them, but also sometimes by implementing things or executing certain things by ourselves.
In the realm of AI, can you give us an idea of some of the programs that you've been a part of?
Absolutely. I think one of the very exciting ones that I've been part of recently was we published a paper about it with Sadaya. It's actually here. You can see it, and I'll share it later. We worked basically on a perspective of the impact of Gen AI on Saudi Arabia, the opportunities, the risks, and eventually putting a plan together to maximize the opportunities and reduce the risks as well.
And what's the duration of it when we think like maximizing the risks and maximizing the opportunity, limiting the risks, what is the duration of it? How long term are we looking into the future?
So I think typically, technology is moving very fast. We look at a little bit the mega trends and we act accordingly. For now, we looked at a horizon of 2035, but obviously this is something that's going to be ongoing with Sadaya, and they will basically update it on a regular basis to make sure to maximize it.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the importance of embracing diverse ideas. Obviously, working in the sector that you work in, you experience a lot of diverse ideas, different sectors, different ways of thinking and perspectives, while also maintaining a sharp focus on your objectives that you have to fulfill. How do you strike that balance in your work life, especially when collaborating with clients from different backgrounds, different ideas? How do you find that middle ground to say, here's how we can work together. You come from a different background. You have different ideas than I can. This is how we can collaborate. How do you go about that?
It's a great question. And basically, I think the key is to listen and be open to really listen and not just hear, but also embrace a little bit the ideas and look for the positives and look for the merit in every idea rather than basically just stick to your own or your team's. But also very importantly, I would say, a part of the balancing act is having integrity, is always being able to tell your counterpart that what you really believe, even if you accept the idea, but you say, I believe the impact of this idea will not be great for you or as expected. And sometimes you run with it, but at least you're able to voice it out and have at least the integrity to put it out there.
And how do you adapt to the region? I mean, how do you adapt to the region? When we're talking about Saudi, when we're talking, you're based obviously in Dubai and you experience both sides. But when we're talking about collaboratively, regionally, I mean, this is a global company. How does it adapt to regional concerns?
I think we have teams based in the region. I am from the region.
Dubai, yeah.
I live and breathe the region every day, and I've been here for a very long time. So to start with, I think we've evolved also with the region as people. But more importantly, I think again being able to listen, to understand effectively the perspective of people here, of organizations here, and contribute also to what the region is becoming is something that we're very, very excited about and look forward to every day.
Yeah. And you mentioned I think you said it was a document that you created with Sadaya, correct?
Yes, correct.
In what other ways have you collaborated with Sadaya?
I mean,
are there upcoming ones that you can tell us? I'm trying to get the exclusive.
We typically don't talk a lot about our projects,
of course.
But definitely we're very excited to be part of very big programs, both in Saudi and in the region and globally when it comes to AI and Gen AI and the advancement of the topic.
I imagine Sadaya is growing, so there's so many areas of cooperation that have the potential, to work on together. I think the journalist in me is trying to get the answer out of you for the exclusive documents. Let's jump into digital disruption. Digital disruption can be both an opportunity and a key challenge for businesses. What are some of the key characteristics that differentiate companies that successfully embrace disruption from those that struggle with it?
Absolutely. So I think in general, if I may sum it up, of course, it's plenty of things. But if I may sum it up, I think successful companies that basically are able to capture the disruption and be ahead of it are companies that empower their people, that basically inflict change at the level of every employee, of every colleague, and empower those employees and colleagues to basically make, to disrupt, to innovate, to effectively make a change across the board. Now, that's very easy to say. So how do you do that effectively? Is, of course, leadership is very important. It's very important to also articulate a North Star or effectively, a target state that you want to get to, but also show that it's not only feasible, but being implemented. And I think, around us here, we were just talking before, I think you can see it and applies also to corporations.
Definitely. I completely agree with you. Your role encompasses everything from strategy to UX, UI design to data science and engineering. Let me ask you, how do you ensure that these diverse elements come together seamlessly and drive successful digital transformation projects?
Again, excellent question. Thank you. I think no successful digital transformation project can actually occur without all of these components working hand in hand together and being complementary. Because it's very easy for me to come and give you an amazing vision that is not implementable. Whereas if I bring together a UX design, a user experience design, a UI design that basically is let's say adapted to the users and at the end of the day, the people that are going to benefit from it, and basically build things around it. This is how you effectively achieve your objectives, your business objectives at the end of the day, because digital transformations objectives don't exist in void.
No,
right?
There's no framework. It's kind of adapting as you go, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah. So AI and data science are critical components of modern digital strategies. How do you see AI driving the future of digital transformation, and what trends should companies be preparing for?
That's a fantastic question. I think today what we are seeing is primarily a very big focus on operational efficiency. So how AI is effectively being able to augment what we do as employees, do things better, more accurately, faster, etc. And obviously that comes with a lot of fear from people that some jobs are going to be lost, etc. Fine, we can discuss that later. But I think that's the primary focus today. But I think this is a very small part. This is the tip of the iceberg. I think what we're also seeing, but we will see much more of, is a little bit how AI is going to transform the experience of users, of customers, but also of citizens and practically everyone. How we interact with the world, has been more apps in recent years, but is going to shift to more conversational using AI. And very importantly, that's going to drive a very big wave of new business models that we saw, when the iPhone was launched in 2007 and the advent of apps, etc., how people started doing different things. today with AI, I think we're going to start seeing very big disruptions in business models. Of course, this is going to be great for users, as it has been, but also companies need to be aware of those disruptions and basically, stay ahead of them to stay relevant also in the age of AI.
I want to jump into the topic of user experience a little bit. I imagine AI makes the user experience almost seamless at times and simplifies it. Can you tell us what it looks like as a user when you incorporate AI into it?
Sure. I think we're talking more about generative AI, practically, and multimodal AI. I think, with the launch of GPT, last year, we saw a lot of chatting going on and being able to interact with AI. Little by little, that has shifted also towards, again, the multimodal aspect, also being able to create images, being able to create videos, which sometimes is a problem, of course. And more recently, with the launch of GPT 4.0, we've seen conversational AI, voice conversational AI. And I think, within the let's say 1 year, we've seen all of this, let's say, progress happening. I can't even imagine eventually how things will effectively progress from here. But already we moved from apps, so tactile type of interaction, to real, chat, and eventually to voice in the span of 1 year.
Yeah.
So let's see how that goes.
The progress is drastic, it's quick, and it's global.
Exactly.
I mean, with that, obviously, with the pros, such as everything, there's always the cons. There's always people having worries, and you touched upon it a little bit. I've had conversations with so many people. I mean, working in media and journalism, the immediate thought is AI is going to take my job. AI is coming for my job. How do you address that concern, or do you have any specific insights into the mentality of AI will take jobs?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think first, I want to quote a little bit Bill Gates. Back then he said, he basically said that we always overestimate the impact that technology is going to have in the next 2 years, and underestimate the impact of technology over 10 years. And I really believe this is very, very true. And I'm going to expand a little bit on this and come back to your question, if you allow me. Right? So I think, when it comes to AI, typically AI is for sure a foundational technology, right? It's very similar in my mind to electricity, to the internet, to different things. With that comes what we call the productivity paradox, right? So in effect, there needs to be a lot of infrastructure around it, a lot of basics around it, and people take typically a lot of time to learn how to use it and go about it. When it comes to Gen AI, I think one of the two components is not there, right? So it's true that you still need to embed a lot of foundational elements into every organization, into your daily life, etc. But it's so easy to use that basically we've seen massive surge and obviously
it's seamless.
This is why exactly it's a bit seamless, and that's basically what's making it move very fast. I think. Very quickly here, based on research that we've done at Oliver Wyman Forum, 68% of employees in Saudi Arabia already use Gen AI, and that was a few months old.
I didn't know that. Wow!
Exactly.
Imagine now.
Imagine now, and that's compared, by the way, to a global average of 55%. Now, 68% of people use it. Over 90% of CEOs in a recent survey that we've done also as well with NYSE CEOs basically indicate that they're investing heavily in AI and they believe in the promise, but yet we haven't seen a lot of disruption to jobs, right? Will we see disruption in the job market? Probably. I think AI already is augmenting a lot of the things that we do, and as we have applications that are implemented and scaled within organizations, things are going to change. But at the same time, we can look at it from the other way around. I think it is already creating a lot of jobs as well. This conversation,
right
exactly. This conversation and gain in general is one such example. But very importantly, today there is a shortage in labor, particularly in Saudi Arabia. If the kingdom is going to reach its very ambitious targets of growth, right? So in a way, AI and the embracement of AI will basically help achieving those very aggressive but also achievable, as we've seen, targets with less dependency on others, which is, I think, something fantastic. And back to the report that we were saying, if you look at the report that we've launched today with Sadaya, we basically assessed exactly that. So what is the impact on the job market? So yes, there might be a bit of a negative impact, but at the same time, the economy needs to add more than 1 million, around 1.2 million jobs by 2030 to reach the GDP targets. So AI is going to be reducing a little bit of that burden, typically of expats, right?
Yeah.
And the net impact that we expect on Saudi Arabia of Gen AI alone in 2030 is around $24 billion, so
Wow.
close to 100 billion SARS.
Can I pick your brain a little bit on this topic? Because
Absolutely.
I hear it so much about AI, the risks of AI, the dangers of AI, and obviously they're still there. But in terms of job security and job employment, people have a serious concern. Can I ask you, are there any, and do you see any detriments? If you're in a job industry and you're not utilizing AI, are there any detriments to your job security in the future? Do you believe people might fall behind, or what's your perspective on the topic?
I think so, yes. So, I mean, I kind of gave the example of AI being similar to the internet. Can you imagine a job today that doesn't necessarily use the internet?
I mean, email. I mean, what are you going to do?
Exactly.
Mail a letter and then physically give it to someone, then wait a week. It's just, yeah.
Exactly. And of course, there are people that are going to adapt it faster than others. There are some people that are going to use it more extensively than others. There are jobs where it's going to be required more than others. But at the end of the day, it will be something that we use on a daily basis, whether we are aware of it or not.
There's something so interesting. I met with a consultant a few weeks ago, and I was asking him this question because it was kind of when the boom of the trendy AI. AI became this trend, this trendy word that people want to use around, I think it was a year or 2 years ago. But no one really knew, the exact effects of AI, the impacts of it, and how we can utilize it. It was just this trendy topic at the time. But there was so much fear surrounded by it. And I asked him, what is the impact, of not using AI, of using AI on your job security? And he told me that people have this fear of losing their job to AI, but the reality is you're not going to lose your job to AI. Very few people will. The reality is you're going to lose your job to someone using AI. You're going to fall behind. And
That's
exactly
true.
what you said. It's a scary.
That is true.
It's a scary thing to know that if you're not catching up on what's happening, the advancements in the world, you're going to fall behind. I mean, it's very realistic with print media. We saw it print and digital media.
Sadly.
Yeah.
Sadly.
I still read the newspaper.
But me too.
Oh, good. There's two of us in the world.
At least.
There's two out of 8 billion.
At least.
That's very interesting. I want to jump into our questions back in again.
Sure.
I think we left off at AI and data science, right? Yeah. So AI and data science are critical components of modern digital strategies. How do you see AI driving the future of digital transformation, and what trends should companies be preparing for now?
Yeah, I think so. On that point, just to reiterate a little bit where I see it, particularly on three fronts. One is the operational efficiency, so what we were just talking about, the jobs, etc. But also to empower people to do more with their time. Hopefully, get also a little bit more time off and work less. But very importantly as well, the reinvention of customer experiences in general, not only customers but also beneficiary experiences when it comes to citizens, for example, and how you interact with your governments. And last but not least, as a result of those things, eventually, reinventions of business models. So when you are able to do things at a much cheaper cost and basically in a new way, what will you do with those gains? Will you put them in your pocket as a company, or will you be able to basically offer it back somehow to your customers? And that's where it becomes a race between startups and eventually the corporates that that are already big in the markets.
It's interesting to look at it that way. As a global leader in digital transformation, what advice would you give to organizations looking to embark on or accelerate their own digital journeys? And where should they focus their efforts in the coming year?
Absolutely. I think, in short, I think it's really about transforming people. It's really about inflicting change at the level of every employee, of every colleague, is to basically make sure that, the people working for those companies embrace that change and move it. So what you need to do there is obviously work on that front and communicate and do change management. But very importantly as well is to embrace a little bit agility not only in the way you implement and you execute digital projects, but very importantly as well in the way you basically select projects, shortlist those projects, fund those projects, implement them, and very, very importantly as well, which is something that we're not seeing today very often, is scaling those projects. So a lot of people are doing use cases, but the difficulty doesn't lie in doing a use case on a POC level or on a proof of concept level. It's really to scale it and make people use it. And this is where eventually why I started with people and having people change.
But when we're talking about, I want to ask, when we're talking about digital transformation and digital growth, especially in the realm of AI, where does it start within companies? Where do you recommend companies starting?
I think the foundational elements are always in the data, but also in how you use that data and what you want to do with it, as well as and how does it help you eventually achieve your corporate objectives. So again, I think a lot of people and even a lot of companies, they look at AI transformation and digital transformation as, I want to do it, let's do a strategy of AI transformation. It's really not about that. It's basically, how do I embed AI and how does AI serve my corporate strategy? Whether it's customer excellence, whether it's whatever it is as your corporate strategy, how does it serve you to achieve those objectives in a better, faster, cheaper way?
So there's no clean cut method. It's more subjective, company to company, would you say?
I think there are some elements that are common to all. So the what is, I would say, very common to all. So effectively having the right talent, having the data and analytics around it, having the right technology, having the right customer experience and user experience are all elements that are there. But then the how differ very much from one company to the other, from one market to the other, and from one target segment to the other as well.
I'm going to jump a little off script, a little off topic, if you'll allow me.
Please.
What's new? What's happening regionally with Oliver Wyman that you can tell us?
Oh, wow. That's
a lot, I imagine. It's a big folder. He opens the binder and he's like, which chapter should I start with, Nema?
No, I think one of the key things I think is a little bit out there is, I think the region is really embracing AI much faster than any other region, and is really seeing the benefit and the promise of AI. And not effectively, but focusing obviously on counterbalancing the risks, but not only thinking about the risks. And I think this is fantastic, and I think this is something that's going to enable the region to really move very, very fast. And this is basically why the global leader of our AI offering sits here in the region, because we truly believe in the promise and the progress that the region is going to make in this regard.
When you're looking across sectors, where do you see the most growth or implementation of AI? I have an idea, but I want to hear your answer.
Absolutely. I think, obviously from different markets is different. I think in Saudi Arabia, the government is very keen, and with the help of Sadaya, obviously, is very keen on pushing the AI agenda. Similarly, in the UAE, we've seen also the appointment of chief AI officers, etc. But also we're looking at it, in oil and gas. That's something that's, for example, national oil companies, Aramco, ADNOC, etc., are really taking up AI, and that's also great because they are a big part of the of the society, but also of the economy. And very, very interestingly, by the way, if you look at the research, small companies, SMEs, are really using AI today to really do things more effectively and more efficiently and be able to compete, which is very exciting across the board. Right?
That's wonderful.
Across all sectors.
I have a lot of friends that work in healthcare, and I'm seeing just this drastic usage of AI a lot, especially with scans, reading scans.
Yes.
Because it seems to be more accurate. It's much more accurate than human. Within scan reading. So you said, I want to hear what others
No, I mean, it's true. I think basically, I don't know, depending on what technology is effectively being deployed. Obviously, in healthcare in particular, because of the liabilities, typically it's augmenting what a radiologist does rather than replacing a radiologist, which is also great. So definitely there are many applications, but we look at it only, for example, for in radiology. But in healthcare, AI plays many different roles that are extremely important, whether it's on the R&D, so basically being able to prioritize specific R&D pieces that have better promise of delivering, but also within those effectively being able to fund it, etc. And within the R&D, being able to accelerate effectively the research and the development of new drugs that are able to help people and get them better, hopefully. So there are many applications out there that we will see as we go.
And you mentioned diverse markets, SMEs in diverse markets utilizing AI. How can we see SMEs using AI today?
In many ways. So I think when we talk about media, for example, so Gen AI is being used a lot, to do editorials, to do content generation, etc. And a lot of people are feeling the impact of that, both on the positive side, so companies are being able to publish more, etc. And on the negative side, which we discussed before, which is the editors, are finding themselves, and the writers are finding themselves sometimes in a bit of a tough spot because of that.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm just thinking on an educational level. I know there's so many limitations, and they're trying to implement so many restrictions for AI usage because everyone's just ChatGPT. Write me an essay about it, and it does.
Exactly.
It produces it.
The question is, should you encourage that in a ethical and
That's interesting.
or do you stop it altogether?
Should you have a course that teaches them how to utilize AI for the future in education?
Responsibly.
Exactly, responsibly. Or should you just ban it completely?
Exactly.
Which I think there's so many detriments to as well. There's two sides of it. What do you think of it? Just your opinion.
I think this is
It's a long topic.
Well, yeah, but it's a reality that's going to hit us, and in the job, in the marketplace, people are going to use it. So I think better adapt and make sure that people are using it responsibly and in a safe manner rather than ban it, because nobody can ban it, right? It's there. So
it's here. We're using it now as we're speaking. So
exactly.
We're surrounded by it.
Exactly.
I think they should implement courses. It's one of those things. This is just my opinion. There's courses in university on how to be a YouTuber. So why not have a course on how to use AI? It just makes more sense rather than banning it. I saw that you're a speaker. I saw that you're a speaker. Can you tell us a little bit about your session that's going to be taking place in GAIN?
Yeah, so it's going to be speaking about effectively predictive maintenance. Predictive maintenance of humans.
Oh. I was like, I've never heard of that.
Yeah. It's funny because, we're going to be talking about predictive medicine effectively and the role of AI in that.
Predictive medicine.
Yes.
Okay.
And I said predictive maintenance because,
I want to know what that is. Is that something? I don't know what that is.
Yes. So, asset health management has been, one of the key uses of AI historically, even before Gen AI, since the 70s. And it's a way effectively in industrial applications to identify, or even in the planes, for example, that we fly in every day, there is always predictive maintenance to identify when a plane or an engine of a plane should basically be replaced or fixed or maintained in order to basically reduce the downtime of that asset, so of a plane or of an oil rig or etc. Because the downtime basically costs millions and millions and millions of dollars. So being able to identify a fault before it happens and fixing it basically reduces a lot.
So it's almost like your iPhone telling you 20% left on your phone, charge it. Is that a way to simplify it, I guess?
Exactly.
Okay, interesting.
Or stop eating sugar because...
diabetes. Pre-diabetic.
Exactly.
I guess there are, it is prevalent everywhere.
It is.
So what about predictive medicine in your session? What are you going to be talking about?
So I'm going to be moderating, and I'm really looking forward to what the speakers, who know much more about the topic than I do, what they're going to be sharing.
Then after the podcast, I'll take off my host hat and I'll give it to you. And then you can host the next session. That's exciting.
Appreciate it. It is.
So what are some of the topics that you might touch upon during the session? Do you know?
I think in general, effectively, what are the different applications, how people would effectively react to such predictive medicine, the ethics of it all, and eventually how to scale it.
That would be interesting to see. Is it ethical? The ethics of it, the concerns. This seems to be a reoccurring a topic, and it's wonderful that it's a reoccurring topic. The session I had today, it was on therapy and AI and AI's role in therapy. We talked about it a little bit before, but there were so many controversial opinions.
Oh, yeah?
Very far left, very far right, and I'm in the middle. It was so interesting hearing both sides of it. It's really just great. So you didn't get to see the opening ceremony, but what has been your experience so far at GAIN?
Again, I think the energy is just incredible. You feel it walking around. You see very diverse also attendance, which is also always great because it adds different perspectives. And again, I'm starting to see things, in previous, events, etc. And even in discussions, the focus has always been on, foundational elements, on LLMs, etc. I think we're starting to see a lot more applications, and that is fantastic because this is effectively what's going to kind of create a leap towards the next phase of AI, and it's all happening here.
Exactly, it's wonderful to see. We're seeing the growth of it. This is the 3rd edition, and I remember attending the 2nd edition. It was nothing like this. It was this scale is huge. It's so many more people, so many more delegations coming. There's a huge delegation from South Korea.
Oh,
coming.
wow.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that as well this year. So it's really wonderful to see. Is there anything specific that you're looking forward to, or any specific themes or topics that you want to attend?
So I think there are plenty of things eventually that we can learn. I think there are some fantastic sessions. Some of them also my colleagues are leading or joining. Uh, there are too many to name,
Yeah, I know.
but I look forward to absorbing as much as possible because it's really very, very exciting what's happening.
I do as well. Someone mentioned there was a session on AI in therapy, or AI in like therapeutic yoga and meditation.
Oh, wow.
So I would love to attend or see how AI leads meditation.
Oh, wow.
I think it'd be very unique to see.
It would
like inhale, exhale, and then the whole energy of it all. Anyways, those are all my questions. Is there anything else you wanted to add to our interview?
Well, that's it from my side. It was really a pleasure.
It was fun.
Thank you for your time. It was.
We had a good time.
Thanks to you. So.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jad. That was our interview. Thank you so much for joining the Gain podcast. And thank you, Jad Haddad. Thank you for your time and your wonderful insights. Tune into our next episode.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.